Legends, it's time to roll out. Hope you guys can see us. We got some lighting out here. Let me turn on the rear light. Turn on the forward light. Turn this bad boy on. And we're off to go. Let's do this.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands. We used Flint Ridge Drive. We rode up through Sterling Ridge to Research Forest, picked up Team RR, headed down Fishcreek. It's a good turnout. Went into Honea. It's a very good ride, a lot of changes in pace. We filmed all the way to 105. We got into Montgomery. We stopped filming. We went through the forest on Bailey Grove Road, went up to and across 149, and then we took the Cedar Hill Base Chapel Road. We filmed back there. I think you like the clips. We came back up to 149, headed back on Bailey Grove South, back into the city. It was a very, very humid day. The temperatures just kept climbing. We had a storm the day before, and so that rain brought just a lot of humidity to the area. We filmed in Great Hills Estates back to Honea Egypt Road, and got back into the city after about 6.5 to almost 7 hours of riding. Hope you'll enjoy the clips. We're on Research Forest Boulevard. We try to stay active and keep moving. That's why we don't ride to the ride start place, because sometimes they'll take like an extra 10 minutes. You can see it's 7:19. There they are, and they're supposed to leave at 7. So that's almost 19 minutes we would have been hanging out there. So we much rather be moving. So we spin around and wait for them.
I will leave it on flashing because on steady it seems like
hey guys.
So everybody says good morning, so we roll and follow them. And that's why you see us meeting them here.
I can't believe how my bottle cage is so dirty.
Paul said that he couldn't believe how dirty his bottle cage is. Well, you know how the bottles sometimes they leak if you fill them up with all the debris. We stood up there. It looks like a car had an accident. The pieces of plastic and stuff from the accident was on the shoulder there. But anyway, if you don't clean your bottle case, sometimes the bottles leak, and they leak on your frame too. If you fill it up too much, don't fill it up to the brim. The bottles usually have a little area before the neck where they recommend that you basically, stop there. So if you don't fill them up too much, you're good. Then they don't leak when they bounce around. That's one reason why I put electrolytes on the seat tube side, because that down tube, the liquid, is leaning, and so if you put a lot in there when they're full, sometimes they can drip on your cage. I mean, he had not noticed it. I guess that's why he said he can't believe how dirty his bottle cage was. So that's something. Look at that guy's helmet up there on the right. It's got a nice little light on the back that's blinking. I've noticed it right now. I did not notice it while we were riding, so I don't think it's as effective during the day having it on your helmet there. I think it's better to have it on the bike, because if you look at the other rider on the left, I don't know if that's Bob or not, but that light to the left, the guy in front of Lulu, that's Lulu up there. His light, you can see it from this distance. So I think it's better to have the light down at eye level for the drivers, because his helmet light, plus it's not super bright on that helmet as well. I'm looking at it right now. I'll put an arrow on it later on in the clips. So I think that during the daytime it's better to have like the cycle light or any other light. Like, if you look at the guys on the left, they're more visible than this guy on the right with his helmet light. The helmet light is not that bright. Look at it. So maybe at night it will be more useful. But it's a good idea. Yeah, right there. It's not super bright during the day. On a sunny day, that gets washed out. Look at, that's Dan. Look at that cycle light. That's the lightning mode. That bad boy. Yeah, it gets your attention. And so I speeded up here in a bit. I think the guy on the left there in the gray jersey is Kevin, but I'm not sure. Paul said he had called my name, but I didn't hear him. I don't think it's Kevin. He's got the same jersey Kevin wears. We're discussing it and Paul thinks it was Kevin. It might be. I don't know. It might be him, yeah. Because Kevin spins a lot. This guy did too. I just never noticed him that much. I mean, I saw him riding. We didn't get a chance to chat. The ride just kind of took off like a character of his own. You see the guy on the right in the jersey, the blue-green jersey, the Woodland Cycling Club jersey to the right of Dan. I noticed immediately that he's out of shape. You can tell. I mean, you know, when you're fit, you're fit. And how I noticed was that you will see in a little bit, it seems like he hasn't been on the bike in a while. And sometimes people get a little rusty. And he was riding a little scared, I call it. Because we'll get to an intersection down there and then there's a car coming from the right. But the car has the stop sign. The car pretty much is stopping. And then he kind of panics and he stops a little hard. So you may hear me say, hey, he's got the stop sign. Because part of the guys have already turned left. We had the right away. There's no stop sign in this direction at the second intersection. So that's the first little mistake I noticed. And then later on, I will point out he will be struggling on some of the little bumps on Fishcreek. And then I give him a hand in the back at Ridge Lake Shores because he's getting gapped. You know, he doesn't say anything. And so the second time I put my hand on him is on the overpass because he really gets gapped. And I asked him, you got this? And then he's kind of tapped my hand. He said, yeah. But then, I asked because I wanted to know whether he needed some help just to get him up that bump. But he refused to help by saying, yeah, he had it. But the thing is, if you have it, you won't be gapped 2 to 3 bike lengths. So you guys will see me ride up to the guys who have gapped him. And that's the last we see of him. So if you're riding and you're offered some help, take it. And then it's just kind of life. Anytime, if somebody can help you change a spare tire or a flat tire on your car, don't turn it down. You'll be out of there quicker, Don't turn down any help. I mean, so he refused my help and then he ended up just riding alone. So maybe he had just had enough of the group. Guy on the right, what I'm talking about. He just hadn't been getting the K's in, that's all. But, so it's easy to spot people who have not been consistent. Let's put it that way. And that, you can tell. Right here is where he's panicked. Those guys already turned and he locks up. I said, the guy already got the stop sign. The guy was stopping. And so I slowed down behind him. You see, Paul is here behind Dan. I'm on the right behind him. So it was clear that he hadn't been on the road in a while. Because he's not new at this. That jersey is not brand new, that kit. So he's had it for a while. He's just been off for some time. We move over because those people walking with dogs. Whenever there are dogs on a leash, the longer the leash, the more room I give them. Because the dogs are unpredictable sometimes. Now, I want to point out something while I was talking about, he hadn't been riding a while or whatever. People need, some riders forget that not every ride is the same. And I've said this here, and the point I'm trying to make is the character of a ride will vary based on who's there, the kind of effort, is it steady, is it fast? So you really need to not get too excited because other people, I've said this before, other riders may be sitting in, everybody comes to a ride with a different purpose. So you really have to still manage your effort based on your plan for the ride that day, okay? That's the key thing. He's checking his glasses because it's foggy. He's trying to get air on it before he puts it on. That's what that is about. I'm wearing my radar lock Oakley glasses. They're old from years ago, and even Mark, who's in the green up there, notices it. He asked me on Sunday. I came across them on my Sunday solo ride, and he was asking me about it. I told him, no, it's not new. We turn here. Paul and I are back here, and I think only one other guy is with us. I don't know what Mark is doing, but he's looking behind. I don't know who he's looking for. We're it. So we're just wondering what. I thought they were going to turn left, but they're not. They're going straight. So you can see me hit my brakes here. So I don't know what they were doing, but the guys got him gapped already while he was looking behind. I'm not sure what he was looking for. So we continue here. We really haven't started riding yet, so we're just kind of easing into it. I want to elaborate on the point I was talking about, the character of a ride. You may come to the same ride one day and it's hot and heavy. You may come to the same ride and then it's steady. You may come to the same ride and then it's, as the Spanish says, it's tranquil or calm or, you know, quiet or slow or, you know, just easy. You have to realize that depending on who's there, the purpose of the ride, the mood people are in, every ride is unique. So when you come, you need to make sure that, okay, is this ride meeting my need? Do I want to go hard today? If not, then you sit in more. If they're going slow and you want to go hard, you pull more. That's how you can stay with them and keep the group together. Even if you're going to attack, if you start an attack and people go with you and you want to work hard, then you work in that attack, kind of like it's a break. And you will see, you guys will see, and that's why I like to ride with these guys. Team IR, they don't follow any rules. I mean, they're not dangerous or anything, but they ride based on how do I feel at this moment. They don't care about what's coming next. Now, the reason I'm pointing that out is they're not using what you call cycling strategy here. These boys just like riding their bike. If they feel good, they ride their legs off. If they don't, they want to sit up. That's their style. That's just what they do. They're just guys that want to come out and ride their bikes for the love of riding their bikes. They're not trying to be super tactical and all of that. What I try to do on these rides, because the audience of this channel varies so much, I try to point out things that you should do if you're competing or if you're doing a long ride. That's what this is about. There's nothing that they do on here that is, in my opinion, unsafe or taboo. But what I try to correct is to just say, okay, if you're competing, don't blow your wad here, because this is not the finish line. That's all. But these guys are just guys out, guys and girls out riding on Saturday. No strategy, no nothing. They're giving it what they have. Just so you know that. So we're rolling here on Fishcreek. So what has transpired here is that Bob is up at the front, and I believe that's Kevin. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take my buddy's word for it. The guy in the gray jersey, they're up there. They when we turned on Fishcreek, they were ahead, and they just stayed there. We hit about 51 kilometers an hour. We're in the 30s here. We go a lot faster. There's a sprint on 2854 where I go ahead and go around Mike, and I think we hit like 58 kilometers an hour, which is about 36 miles an hour. Yeah, slightly downhill. It's a very humid morning. We had some rain that came in the night before. A good little downpour. Just enough to raise the humidity. It did not lower the temperatures much. Made it stickier. I check behind and I get on the road. Nothing's coming. The road's opening up into 2 lanes. And I'm already sitting here. Just instead of waiting till the road, right there, you see how the road narrows? I don't like to wait till the last minute. You shouldn't do that. Get over so that the other road users know that you're going to use the road. This is off camera. I was riding with one of my riders here that I'm biased towards. His name is Michael. He likes orange like I do. You guys saw him a few rides back. He was all in orange. We see him at the end of the ride on Sunday. Paul's cleaning the lens. Went through the water from the sprinkler systems over there. And so it sprinkled the camera, at least he thought it would, and he just wanted to make sure everything was clear. But anyway, what I was saying was that Michael, when he comes to a choke point like that, he blocks traffic with his position on the road. If the lane is too narrow, I've talked about it on here before, you go ahead and move out and make sure they don't squeeze by your elbow. Later in this ride, when Paul and I are on Honea, Egypt, several cars pass us. As soon as we started Honea, Egypt, 2 of them give us plenty of room. The third one kind of cut over a little closer than he or she should have. And Paul was like, oh, really? Or something like that. It wasn't that bad. It was just like it wasn't necessary because there was no reason for that driver to come over as quickly as they did. That's Lulo back there. I never got the name of the guy behind Lulo. He couldn't hold our pace too long, so he fell off. That's Bob over here. It's getting hard now, so Bob's going for cover. That's Mike on the left of Bob. We have a lot of Mikes in the group. Mike and Bob have been up there pulling, so Mike goes to the back. This is the guy I happen to be behind here that I'm talking about. And the way I ride is when somebody is having a problem and it looks like they're almost there, I give them a helping hand. You guys have seen me push Paul H., Mary, and different people. So I don't really discriminate. I can watch and see if somebody's struggling, just like Mo has put a hand on Paul, and I'll take a helping hand too. I've been given a helping hand, so I don't mind helping people. So I help him the first time, you'll see that. The second time I'll reach up to him when we get to the overpass, he's getting really gapped because Mark and Mike Weingrad take off and they're like racing up the climb, and he's getting gapped and he leaves a huge gap. So instead of me just going around, I put my hand on him and said, I asked him, are you okay? And you will see him tap my hand and say, yeah. That's the last we see of him, and that's what I mean. Somebody offers you help, you don't take it, that may be your last choice there. So we ride off and we don't see him again because it's just too hard for him. He's going to need to get some more Ks in to be able to keep up with us. And even after you've gotten fit, remember that when you come to the group ride, the stronger riders are not necessarily riding hard all the time. They may sit at the front and just keep a steady pace. So don't get a big head thinking that, oh man, I'm really flying because I'm riding with these guys like this. You need to realize that when they're really pouring on, it's a whole different level. So you really have to always save something. That's what I talk about. You have to save something because sometimes, I've talked about it before, the stronger riders may come and maybe they got a big ride the next day and today they're just sitting in taking it easy. Don't get outside of your comfort zone and start trying to act like, oh well, I'm really going well because I'm firing off the front. You need to really pay attention to the fact that these guys are just riding and taking it easy, and if they decide to really pour it on, you may not be able to keep up. So you really got to keep saving something. And plus, you got to pay attention to the distance of the ride that you're doing. If you're only doing 20 miles, I guess you can, it's about 32 kilometers, you can probably pour it on. So you got to pay attention to that so that you don't have to cut your ride short. If the group is doing 60 miles, or let's say, what is that, 70 something kilometers? No, let's say 90K. Yeah, thereabouts. Probably closer to 100, yeah. About 98 kilometers, about 60 miles. So you need to see, am I going to be able to stay with the group if I ride like this, or will I have to turn back early? And if you don't mind turning back early, that's fine. But if you keep doing the same distance every time at the same effort, then you're not going to improve. So either you're going to have to increase your effort for that distance, or you're going to have to increase your distance to increase the workload. Keep that in mind. You have to plan. I'm stressing that because don't get hung up on what the group is doing. Pay attention to whether it meets your need. This is the guy that pulls up, and Paul says it's Kevin, but I don't think it's Kevin. Yeah, it is Kevin. I hear him call my name. Okay, I did not hear him because of the wind, and I'm really concentrating there, so I didn't hear it. That's okay. So it is Kevin. He rides with more than them sometimes. And I feel bad that I did not acknowledge him. Kevin's a great guy, and we've chatted several times before. So, Kevin, if you're listening, sorry, man, I didn't hear you. I was watching the wheel in front of me. The guy in front of me is constantly accelerating. How can I say it? He's using a lot more energy just to stay on the wheels. And so I'm watching his wheel very closely because he has a bigger, you see I moved to the left, there's more of a yo-yo effect. You see I'm actually overlapping, I'm getting on Mark's wheel. I'm not riding faster, they're just slowing down when the road goes up a little bit. But watch his body language, he's really working hard. And it will get more predominant in a little bit as we go up towards Ridge Lake Shores. So the reason why I'm concentrating so much, not that I don't concentrate behind other people, I'm letting them know that because Mike Weingrad is on his TT bars, and so I give warning there has to be a rider or somebody on the side of the road. I let them know, yes, a couple of riders. We go by and we move over. I like to give them plenty of room. But what I'm watching is that when he accelerates, it's almost like he's sprinting. And instead of just riding, he's putting out a lot of high power efforts just to stay on the wheel in front of him. That's the first time that lets me know when someone is a little over their head. Look at his body right there. That's what I'm talking about. He's really working hard here. You see that? The shoulders, everything. He's really working hard to stay on Mark's wheel right there. And then he's getting gapped while he's doing that. Now watch me. Now push him up there. Because I could see that. Now, I did that over there. There was no objection or anything. That was nice just to keep him in the line. And because it was a small bump. The second time, I don't assume. I'm just shaking my legs to kind of wake them up, loosen them up. Because the climb's coming. Mike pulled up. The second time on the overpass, I put my hand on him and I ask him if he needs my help. And then he taps my hand and he says no. I'm saying hi to Mike. So once he said no, you would see me ride past him and that's it. He's alone. And that's okay that he said no because I think he had reached the point where he realized he wasn't going to be able to hold these accelerations that these guys were doing on these overpasses. But here is what he didn't do correctly. He should have pulled out of the line versus just sitting there and let the gap open. The reason I asked him, I was just being civil because most rides, they will just ride around you when they see a gap. And that's what you should do. Because it's not easy trying to push someone up a climb. And you got to be able to be in really good condition and so forth and so on. So I don't recommend that unless you're really going good and the person won't mind or whatever. But since I had already pushed him up there, he didn't have a problem with that. And I could tell he was struggling right here. He's working really hard. He's concentrating. He's trying. That's good. He's riding hard there. But he's riding hard before we're really going very hard. And that's what kind of alerts the experienced riders to know that this person is already hitting threshold or whatever for their fitness. That's how you kind of know. So on the overpass, you see me place my hand on him and I talk to him for a while. And then he taps my hand to let me know, yeah, he had enough. And I just left him and went up. He didn't want me to push him. He was done working that hard. If I hadn't seen him trying here, I would not have put my hand on him on the overpass that's going to come. But because he was trying here, that made me think that, okay, I like to see people that are trying. And if you're trying, I'll help you. But, to his credit, he said, and he had enough. And so I left him and we just rode past him. I didn't want to just ride past him and leave him there. So Dan has been pulling. Now he's pulled off. I'm going to have to use the shoulder because he stays really close to the line. Which is fine. That's the proper way. That way we still get some protection as we go by. I tell him good pull or something like that I said to him as we come up. We're doing 44 kilometers an hour. That's about 27, almost 27 to 28 miles an hour. And you can see, because of all the work I've done, my heart rate is in zone 1. We just went down that hill. My heart rate dropped quickly. So my recovery is very good. I never got the name of this fellow that I'm talking about. Maybe the next time I will, but it was good to see him trying, you know. He was doing his best. So Mike comes up there now. Remember, Mike had just pulled a few kilometers back, and he had pulled off. I said hello to him. Now he comes up because a lot of these guys on Team RR, when they come to a climb, they want to work the climb. And that's the way the racers ride too, with Mo and them. They come to a climb, they don't want to back off. So Mike is going to the front, Mike Weingrad next to Mark, because I guess they want to just give it a good effort on this climb. That little rock there, those are the rocks that can cause pitch flats. I checked behind, make sure there's no car coming. I'm watching this guy because he was already working back there on that climb before we got here. And right here, the gap will start opening. You will see. I will ride up to him and ask him. Then he will tap my hand, and I will leave him. Right here, he's getting gap. Look at the wheel. Look at Mark pull away right there. I ask him right there. You okay? Then he tapped my hand. Okay. And then I just go ahead. Okay. That's the last we see of him. So I'll go ahead and ride up. Because most riders would have just gone around him to not let that gap open, because I had to ride hard to get up here. You can see. But when I get up here, I realize these guys are slowing down. I'm like, you guys know how I am. This is the group pace. We're going to keep it going. Because when you do stuff like that, you better have something left. So I pulled through the line there. I'm not aware that Paul is not on my wheel at this point. I find out in a little bit, but we're going to, regroup. But I just keep the effort the same. So when I got to the top of the climb, it was around 160 or so. I don't see my heart rate, but I just do it by feel. And I just continue to ride now. I'm on a groove now. We're just going. I keep my cadence up. So what I did with that guy back there, most group, they don't care. You getting gapped, they're just gonna ride past. That's just the way cycling is. This is more of a friendly group, smaller group, close-knit guys. And so we try to make sure everybody's okay before we leave them. But at this point, he's done riding with us. He's had enough. I'm riding here at what I call sweet spot. Just by feel, I'm at the point where I'm beyond tempo, but not quite into zone 4. You get a good training effect at that level. And you will notice my cadence didn't change much. I'm in the mid-90s to about 100. That's Bob behind Paul right here. That's Dan the man. We're turning left. That's why Dan looked behind. I already checked for traffic. We're turning left here. We turn left. There's a truck waiting to turn left. He sees us. That's why I turn wide. Don't cut the corner. I stand up. Now watch. This is Team RR at its best. You guys know how I ride. We get a pace and we're gonna hold it. Now Bob moved to the front after that turn. He's right up there. I'm not chasing Bob because I focus on sustainable effort. I'm just riding. Yes, Mark. Mark's looking around to see what Paul wants to do. So Paul's coming up to Mike Weingrad here. That's a guy with panniers on his bike. We had seen him earlier when we were waiting for Team RR. Bob is still up there. He's sit up there because my thing is if you're coming to pull, you guys know I've talked about it before. If you're coming to pull, you got to come and give the front a wheel. If you go off the front, we'll let you sit there and Get well done. So you better make sure you can hold it. Now, there's another guy named Mike. I finally got his name. I had not gotten his name. So now look, just slow down. Now watch. We're doing about 30 miles an hour. If you're going to climb, we might as well enjoy the downhill. What are we slowing down the downhill for? So I'm just riding here. So now there's going to be a move on the left. Paul's right on my wheel. Okay, that's Dan the man. Now watch. 1001, 1002. That's Mike. 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. Boom. Dan's off at 7 seconds. That's like when you're doing full gas. Short pull. Fast. So Mike goes. He's there. I think Paul is behind him here from the camera angle I can see. Now 5 or 6 seconds. Mike's done. So what's next? I'm just going to pull on through again and resume what I was doing. I think I'm on the right. Oh, no, I'm on the left there. Okay, good. So I just resumed what I was doing. Same effort. The road is going up a little bit here. I downshift. I'm going to kick up my cadence in the 90s. That's why you can't deal with speed. It's effort. I check. It's clear. Let Paul know. I lean over. This road is a rise when you turn. It says 1%. It's closer to 2%. I'm keeping the gears small. I don't care about speed. It's effort here. You see 162. That's what I was holding when we went on the overpass and over. Down the hill, it dropped about 10 beats. I'm looking at the screen so I can see it here. But during the ride, I don't see any of that. Feel. You got to be able to go by feel. In a little bit, I'm going to look behind and check to make sure everybody's here. I'm just riding here. We're just going. So now when Dan came around, it was akin to being in a break. When you're going very hard, don't spend too much time at the front. Unless it's really something that you can handle. So you saw Dan took about maybe 10-second pull, pulled off. And then Mike took over, took a strong pull, pulled off. He flicked his arm, but nobody went through. So those are two guys to go in a break with. That's Mike back there, and that's Mark behind Mike on the left. So if you're gonna go with somebody in a group, you go with those two guys that started that little 10-second pull back to back like that. Because in a breakaway, that's the way you're gonna work. Short and fast, and you'll keep a high speed longer. So if you look at the heart rate, even though I'm working the same, the heart rate is changing because your body, the legs do the work and then the heart reacts. I'm looking behind to see where everybody is. You see me do like that. So I tell Paul to get off the front because, oh, there we go. Bob takes off again. He's off the front. Now, I'm not going to chase Bob because that's not sustainable. That's what I'm talking about. Because that's just going to break up the group. I'm not sure what Mark was talking about. Something about neighborhood. I slipped back in the line because the pace has picked up and a lot of people don't want to come through. And so I get by behind Mark. Paul is behind me. I think Bob is going. That's not Bob. That's Mike on the left. This is Mark up here. Mike is going to probably get behind Paulie longer. Because Mike is going to come back. Mike's one of the guys that's taking pulls. Mike and Dan. Now, what Bob is doing here does not help the group. If you're going to come to the front and pull, come to the front and give somebody a wheel. If you go off the front like that, you're just going to sit there. You're not pulling. So watch what's going to happen. Mark just kept his speed, which is cool because the group is like a locomotive. We're not backing off. So you can do all that stuff up there. You better be able to hold it. So the locomotive is coming. We're doing about 21, 22 miles an hour. There is an intersection coming up. See me shaking my legs? I'm getting it ready for that climb. Shake the lactic acid out of there. Get them loose. I back off. I'm watching. There's a dead end to the left. It's clear. Bob says it's clear. I downshift and I accelerate a little bit through there. That's why you see that we're pulling. I accelerate. I change the speed a little bit because that's a little bump. When you go to that intersection, there's about 1.5 right there. If you're not in the right gear, you feel it. So I'm not starting a brake or anything. I'm just riding. I was speed about what, 23 miles an hour, something like that. And Paulie Longa is riding up to us. At this point, I don't know that my buddy Paul is a little tired on this ride. He had a hectic week, you know. Sometimes it just affects you. And I find out, I suspect when he comes on Mill Ride and he rides to me and gives me the camera. So he's still riding fine, but he's not feeling like himself. You know, we talk about it later. We come to this climb and I try to hold about 20 miles an hour. I probably climbed it 18 to 19. Let's see, right now we're doing 20. This is about a 3%. I am spinning a high cadence here. I expected people to come around me, but nobody did. As I approach the hill here, the crest, I actually downshift to keep my cadence up. I don't know if it shows on the metric. Let's see, 83, 85. It's going back up, so I downshifted. I did not want my cadence to falter. And then once we crest, I shift up. It would look like my pedaling slows a bit, but the speed will stay the same. You see 70 something RPM, I shift up. And now I'm soft pedaling. Keep everybody together. I expected people to attack, because that's what this group does. This is Team RR, you know, anything goes. But nobody came around, so I just keep riding. So Bob, who is on my wheel, has come a long way. Bob used to get dropped like 10 minutes into the ride about a year and a half ago, and he's been riding more, and his fitness has improved. And so, but the thing is that
okay, let me rephrase it.
yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about, but I hear them. I just keep the effort the same, because that really has no bearing on what I'm doing. I am keeping the group moving, because if we're moving, our progress is continuous. So it's good to see the improvement in Bob, but I think Bob needs to learn how to work with the group as opposed to those little attacks off the front, because the little attacks off the front starts getting people antsy. Because when he attacks, then Mike, you'll see he attacks, then Mike goes, then I come around, and all hell breaks loose on 28, 50, 54. So he comes through here. Now, you see how he came through and just gave me a wheel? That's different. That's how you're supposed to do it. If you're going to pull, that's how you come across. If you're going to attack, you do what he did earlier. Either one works. And what the group decides is, are we going to chase this guy down, or are we going to hold our pace? Are we going to disrupt our pace, or maybe one or two people will go with you when you do that? You know, because when you make a move like that, it's like you're starting a breakaway. So if somebody goes with you, you got to be ready to work. So, but it's good to see Bob coming up here and playing with us. You know, we got to get him out in the forest more often. I back off a bit because I'm hoping somebody else will come through. Nobody does, so I accelerate again. Nobody wanted to come up here at this point, so I was like, okay, let's just ride. Let's keep it going. You see where I'm going? I'm looking for the smoothest patches of pavement that I can find here. I'm just searching. That's all I'm focusing on, besides Bob's front wheel, is I'm just looking for clean areas to ride. Clean meaning as smooth as possible. You see, I put the arrow there. Look at those cracks. There we go. So right here, Bob pulls off. Look at my cadence. I changed the speed just a tad. It's cadence that makes you smooth, so you're not laboring. That's what we work on. We have like a cadence workout specifically that we put together that I use, And I'm talking about hitting 120, 130. I mean, just maximum cadence so that these are nothing. There are little imperfections in the road. That's why you see me dodging. There are little dips that the pavement is not broken, but there's a dip there. So it's almost like it's a hidden dip. And you come across it before you realize. We're turning left. There are pine needles on the road, so I don't lean the bike as much. You see that? I keep it straight. Right there. I just show the arrow to just show all the imperfection. When the road is a little sketchy, don't lean the bike. If the pavement is nice and clean and smooth and you got good traction, then you lean more. So right here, I start to back off the power. If you look at my heart rate, I can't see it, but I was doing it by feel. Look, I'm at 148. I'm backing off the power because nobody has come to the front other than Bob. Bob's the only one been pulling with me. I mean, Dan and Mike made that move, but it hadn't come through. So I start to ride a little softer, kind of like when you're blocking for a teammate. Now Mike comes and he says, I'm riding like I'm angry. That's what he's talking to me about. And you know, Mike and I rode together to Richards a few weeks back. It was a great ride. So he said, why are you not smiling? I said, I'm working here. I don't have to use energy to smile. I can save that smiling energy and use it in my legs. So he gets to saying when he was just messing around. Mike's always messing around. Oh yeah, Mike was the one who saw me on Sunday. He said, why don't you want to ride with me anymore? I said, what are you talking about? He said, oh, I'm just kidding. Because we rode together and I explained to him that it was a rare occurrence where on a Wednesday I was able to get out of the house at 5:30 that morning and meet him for a ride at 6:30, and then we rode to Richards. That doesn't happen all the time. You know, my schedule is fluid, you know, and so he knows. He was just messing around. So on Sunday, I came across them in Conroe when I was out riding. Because, you know, you guys know, we talked about, like the video I made about solo versus the group ride. It's easier to just clip in and go on your own schedule than making appointments with people all the time. Because the appointments, you got to meet somebody, it's a little more restrictive, it's a little stressful, but if you're just doing your own thing, you can go whenever you want. And sometimes it's easy to just go on your own steam, you know. So Bob did a lot of pulling on this ride. So he's at the front pulling, and we just ride. So whenever you sit at the front like that, make sure the pace is something you can handle, because you will see in a couple of kilometers, maybe less than that, people are going to start coming around left and right. And if you have been pulling at a pace that you cannot handle, then you may be out of the action or get dropped. I'm standing in a large gear like the boys back in the day used to do, just to keep the gear rolling. I didn't want to shift, change the way my body was working. That is an option. It's a short climb. Sometimes it's not. This is where Paul gives me the camera, and I'm kind of surprised. That's my first hint that something's up. So I told him to come in front of me. I told him, go ahead. So what ended up happening is, we talked about it later, he had a crazy week. He was running around doing all kinds of stuff. You know how it is. You plan and then life happens. So he came to the ride tired. And so he's riding tired, just like he did when he was riding sick at the Grand Fondo a few years back. So, you know, I could tell something was up. I ended up asking him later. It was off camera. I said, you okay? He said, yeah, he was okay. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then later on, he said, yeah, man, I'm just tired. He was exhausted. And, you know, it happens in life when you're just doing a lot of other busy stuff along with your training. It all adds up. Right here is what I'm talking about. Watch. Mark goes. This is where people like to sprint. I'm on Mark's wheel. I'm sitting on him. I see him coming. I just slipped to him. Now Mark had been sitting in the back most of this ride, and he made this effort. He's done. So I just keep riding here. He was doing almost 25 miles an hour up that climb. So I flipped the camera around. And that's Mike. So Mike goes like he's sprinting for a few seconds. Now he's soft pedaling. I move to the left. Now at this corner, there's a rider who I'm not familiar with. He's got like TT bars on his bike. I don't know if I'll see him here. He's on my left. I'm about to turn, and you see the shadow on the left? I'm like, where's he going? We're both turning the same place. So I turn on the shoulder here. I'm on the shoulder. The camera kind of looks like it's in my left hand. That's why I filmed it. I always turn on the shoulder, and I'm going, and I flip the camera behind. You see, he's back there trying to come up. There was no car coming, so I took the turn, and I'm just working here about 18 miles an hour, you know, because I expected everybody to be there. I'm going to pedal for a while, then I'm going to drift to the right as they come by. I didn't expect Paul to be in the front, because there was another rider at the corner with me. So somehow, when they executed that turn, Paul ended up in the front. I suspected Paul was not himself because he wouldn't give me the camera over there. Ordinarily. So later on I found out, yeah, he just, you know, some days you get up, you're just tired. You know, the week, it adds up on you, and that's a day where you take it easy. So once I found out he was tired, we went ahead and did the rest of our ride. I mean, basically he just let me pull more, because normally Paul will take his pulls when we ride together, and he just took fewer pulls than he usually does. That's the guy who was on my left. I don't know his name, but he's going to pull. Paul pulls off, and he's going to take the lead. And I'm watching Paul. He looks tired. So I end up tapping Paul on the back here. Mark told me I can take this guy's wheel. This is Mike's wheel here, Mike. And then Mark told me, you want in, Eldred? And I slipped in, and I tapped Paul on the back. I could tell the way he was pedaling that he was laboring a bit. He needed to take a break. So he just came to the ride tired. That happens. And if that happens to you, you just know that that day you sit in more and do less, or let the group go. Because you're not going to help your body by forcing yourself in training when you're not at your normal or your best. Now right here, these guys are pulling nicely. This road here is slight grade. It's going to go up maybe 1.5 or 2% in the curve coming up. We're doing about 23 miles an hour thereabouts. It's a nice pace, nice steady pace. So what happens in a group like this, if you're in the draft, you're not working as hard. Somebody's punching a hole in the wind for you. Don't get too excited and then rush to the front, because when you get to the front, it's different. He's done pulling, and then Mike takes over. You can see I'm closer to Mike. I'm trying to maximize the draft. When we're working, I use the draft. I'm right at sweet spot. You can see here the wind is quieter. I'm in the draft here on Mike. And Mike did a nice pull here. So now Mike is pulling very nicely. It's steady. And this is the thing I talk about all the time. You will see the guys in the back are not happy. He's not going to pull off. He's just looking around. I'm not sure why he was looking around, but he kept it steady. I was just kind of watching to see when he will be done. This road is going up here. I don't know why it doesn't register. It should be at least 1% if it's going to pick up anything, because this is not flat. There's an intersection coming up. At the intersection, it levels off. It's into some farm, somebody's private property on the right. I don't know if I get my Mark is there. The guys are working hard. So right here in a little bit, you'll see Bob come around. This is where the road levels off. It flattens here, and now we're gonna kind of go downhill. We're doing 40K right here. Just a slight downhill. I think after this truck goes, Bob takes off. He doesn't go very far. And then you'll see him put one arm up right there. So Bob I guess he's sprinting for something. So now watch. He goes up, he's maybe 2 car lengths up. I come around Mike and I give Mike a wheel right here. I'm sitting and I'm just giving him a wheel. Then Mike comes around. So now, okay, it's on. This is when I just go ahead and watch my speed. And all my speed is from cadence. I put it in like a 53-13 or something like that, and I just rev it. And when I come by Mike, he knows this is what we're doing. We're moving. And so he was saying when we got to the light, we should have kept it at 30 so we could catch the light. I mean, there's no guarantee. That light is so short. But we went at it so long, and I think around here I started to back off. But all of that disrupts the group, but that's part of the thing. It's fun. So if you're in a group and people are making moves like that, I wasn't thinking about turning that camera around. I was riding so fast. You know, the wind was blowing like crazy. But if somebody does that, you don't have to go with them. You can stay with the group pace. So we basically went for like we're sprinting for city limit signs. And that's fun. That keeps the group animated. The light has changed. I start decelerating here early because this is a downhill. You carry too much speed. I didn't want to lock up at the bottom here. You will see me turn the camera around.
Too soon. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We let those guys go, and we're going further out than they were. We found a new area here. I got to get some landmarks. I think it's called Cedar Hill or something. The road, Cedar Hill Road. We got a Stanfield Cedar Hill. Yeah, that's somebody's private road there. It's really tiny. Look at this. So we just came down a hill. So we're gonna be checking this area out.
Yeah, we're a few kilometers from Richards, Texas. We're not going to go to Richards today, but we'll get within about maybe 6 kilometers of it, within reach of Richards, and we head back south. These roads are like cow paths that they've paved, and maybe one car can pass at a time. Yeah, that's what I just told Paul.
Yeah.
It's a little bumpy on this stretch. You can see they patched up this little area here, which is slightly better, but most of it is bumpy. We had let the guys go after we got north of Montgomery because they were not going through the forest. They were taking Bailey Grove going back to Taco Corner, and we needed more kilometers. So we went through the forest, and this part of the ride we're just kind of chilling and sightseeing right here.
This is like a
mixing adventure with the fitness part, and then we'll step it back up.
Yeah.
So this is the exploring part. People have a lot of farms out here, so you got a few houses spread out over many acres, so you don't have any volume of traffic. And because it's not very busy, the roads are not really in the best shape.
Yeah.
But this is so much more interesting than just being on the main highway. I'm just finding the smoothest pavement I can ride on. There are bales of hay over there. Somebody got a nice lake over there. A good shot Paul got there. This is why we don't mount the gimbal, ladies and gentlemen on the channel. We want these shots. And it's not a problem. If your fit is right, holding that thing is not a problem. It's like holding a fat bar. Having a thicker bar. That's it.
Hey, this in the pen.
what Paul said is when I handed him the camera, I left it in pan mode. I was not aware of that. I usually put it in follow mode. That's our preferred mode now. It's a mode of the gimbal. It allows us to move the camera around without having issues with the gimbal. Yeah, we're talking about you can probably have one car on the road. In a little while, we found, we came across a piece of property that has the most beautiful pine trees. They all look so straight. And, you know, you don't see that every day, and there are so many of them. And I think Paul filmed it. I'm zipping up there. It was getting a little toasty. As unzipping and stuff, for some reason, I've been attracting bugs. I get a bug later in the ride. You will see we actually filmed the bug when we got into the Grand Lake Estates. I've been riding for decades, and this year I've gotten 2 bug bites. Got me paranoid. On Sunday I was riding. It was hot. I didn't want to unzip my jersey after this bug bit me again on this ride. Yeah. So it was on my mind. You know, it's kind of like when a car passes you close, and you worry about the rest of the cars for the rest of that ride or something. So now I'm all paranoid about bugs getting in my jersey and biting me. And on Sunday, it's like any little thing I felt like a bite, and there was nothing there. Because the reason is that some bugs, you can be allergic to some bugs, and the way you find out is after they bite you. When I used to compete, I mean, people would get stung by something and their eyes would swell up, you know. So people react differently to bug bites, and I've been fortunate that the 2 bites, I did not react adversely to them. You know, maybe I caught them early or whatever, but I'm very leery about that. The road's very bumpy. That's why you see me standing and just taking the weight off. Lots of patina here, and it's just choppy. It's choppier than I remember. We've been here once before in the winter. I don't know if it's last season or the season before that. But I like these kind of roads because you come and you get a break from just being on the rivet, you know, checking out those horses over there. It's just pretty. It's a nice outing. Your whole ride does not have to be on the rivet. Even when you back off, you can sightsee and you're still moving. So, you know.
Worse than I remember.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the roads have deteriorated back here.
Those horses.
Last time we came here, it wasn't this choppy. It smooths out in a little bit. So when the road's bouncy, choppy like that, I stand as much as I can. Saves your wheels. You get home, you don't have to true wheels and deal with all that. So I'm just standing. We're just kind of moving along. We're not really riding any kind of focused manner.
Yeah, you can't really ride very fast here.
You can if you want to, but it just will be
Surface is
too choppy. I'm in a large gear for the grade and just rolling. It's about 3%. Further up, I think it gets to like 7%. I like coming back here. We haven't been there in a while, but we're not even passed by a car the whole time back here until we got the base chapel. And even then, it was not that much. So. Right around, it starts getting better. These are the pine trees. Paul noticed it first. They're on the right. Just a number of pine trees was the first thing that caught his eye, and then how many, as far as very straight trees. It's on the right there. I don't know if he started talking about it yet, but this whole stretch there.
Those trees, man. Look at how nice. How Yeah, man.
The
I've been
volume of
filming
trees
him
and
since
how
back then,
straight
man.
they are.
Just-
It's as if somebody planted them on purpose or something. And this is all one property. You see the fencing. There's a lot of pine trees.
Other trees in one place. Man, look how straight they are.
I mean, look at them. Just straight, just the sheer number of trees. It just caught us by surprise. It was, you know, just nice. It looks like crepe myrtles that he got near the fence there. Low maintenance, those crepe myrtles, you plant them and forget them.
Some guy came to the house talking about, did you know that lightning struck that tree? In a tree.
I was telling him some guy came to the house talking about, you know that lightning struck your tree? He's in a tree trimming truck. I was like, you left your house and come check my tree? I told him that tree's not bothering me. If lightning's bothering it, that's his problem. You know, the tree. We got a bunch of trees in our backyard, and it's not close to any structure. So, yeah, we're not gonna spend hundreds of dollars for somebody to take it down because lightning struck it. It's fine. The tree was fine, but it's just going around looking for business, I guess.
Sheesh.
The size of this one.
That's a good shot. You guys can see my fit.
Phase of our ride. So run like this, you can't really hammer.
That's the way you're supposed to look on your bike. Comfortable. Because this road's bumpy, but I'm comfortable.
But look at that road ahead.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's the you can't appreciate that hill. The camera is for such a distance. You see the road barely because the road's not dark enough. The asphalt is kind of gray, but it goes up between the trees up there, and I think it gets to 6 or 7%. The pavement smooths out right here. But these are the roads that we look for. We'll do the major highways, but we get on these quiet roads. They're not always filmed because they're not always in the best shape necessarily. And the group we ride with, they don't come out here that much. But when Paul and I used to do a lot of solo rides, these are the roads we would take as much as possible and then divert back to highways only when we had to.
It might be 7%.
You're right.
I think somewhere up here we pass a guy going for a walk, going for a workout. Look at the grade, 5%. It should be about 7. Because I'm working now. I'm in a big gear. I didn't want to shift. It says 3. It was more than that. It'll go between 3 to 5. I think it hit almost 7%. But even though we're not going fast, the gear I'm in, my legs are working. Because I'm riding and then standing because of the surface of the road. This is a guy going for a walk. He's working out. Quiet road.
7.2 or
7.2% was the steepest pitch on that little thing that we went up.
Look much.
You know, this is an exploratory road. You're not going to be carrying a lot of speed through there, you know.
Left will take us to one.
But it's just a nice diversion. And it led us to Base Chapel Road. Right here. We turn left. We're on Base Chapel Road. Look at that road. Newly paved. It's got some cracks in it, but it was paved maybe a year ago.
Talking about.
They had scraped it up and had nothing but mud. Look at the hills in the distance. You appreciate them from a distance and then you get there. So after the little break back there, we resume the business of riding. So that's the way you want to structure your rides. You know, find some quiet roads, mix it in with some road that beautiful roads like these, and then what you do is you treat them as intervals on your quiet, adventurous roads. It's like you're resting, you drink, you chat, whatever. And you get on these roads and you put your nose down and work hard. Gives you good variety to the ride. And before you know it, the hours go by. Look at that hill in the distance. And we're climbing here. This is a grade. We're working. It's nice. The road is very quiet. And this is new pavement. And no industry here. So, you know, the church this road is named after. This road goes to 149. Did you see my cadence just changed there? As I downshifted, I dropped it to the small chain ring and shifted out in the back. I'm on a 36 and I'm probably in a 17 or maybe 19, something like that. I put it in a smaller gear than I thought I would need to get into a rhythm because this is a long climb. You just need to ride the climbs. You do enough of them, ride it. And then you can push harder when you get to the end of the climb. So you can strengthen your legs. This beats going to the gym. So you can see it's like stair step. So you climb that, so it's 2%. It's gonna level up a little bit and it kicks back up. Paul likes these kind of things. Now he's not feeling himself, but he still had fun on this road, just being out here. You know, there's days when you go to ride, you're just tired. You know, I've been there. And no matter how hard you push, your heart rate doesn't even want to go up. Your body's like, look, I'm not feeling it. Those are the days when you shorten the ride or you drop the pace. So what we did on our ride, we dropped the pace, and what we did is we made sure he spent most of the day behind. He didn't take his usual pull, so that helped him still get the hours in. Look at all the beautiful trees around us. Even though it's a hot day, these trees out here keep the air clean. So when you come out here in the morning, yeah, it's hot, but when you're moving, you get a nice, cool breeze. Cooler than you will get in the city. You can hear the wind. I dubbed it down as usual, but it's there. That's 149 right there. Richards is to the right, about probably 5 kilometers maybe to the right. We just decide we're gonna go left, south, because we want to do the harder hills on 149. There's like 4 or 5.5% climbs. We didn't film them today, but I'll point to it and we have a little discussion and then we go ahead and roll.
Can we go the opposite?
Yeah. All right, legends, we are on Great Hills Drive in the Grand Lake Estates. Wrapping up this ride. So somewhere along the line, I picked up a bug having my jersey open like that. I don't know. I guess he's there now.
At 36 or 37 Celsius.
It's hot. 37 Celsius. Yeah, I guess right. Because I have the temperature in Fahrenheit.
It doesn't feel hot. It's a nice when you move it. You don't want to stop. You know.
So Paul said that it's a nice breeze. It is a nice breeze, but it's still hot. I mean, it was about 100 degrees, 99, 100 degrees, 37 Celsius. Right around here, the bugs in my jersey, I feel it biting me. Right there, I think. Right there. I'm holding the bug. I reached back and I grabbed it through the jersey. I squeezed it.
Okay.
I pull into this driveway here. I'm still holding the bug. See that? I'm holding it.
Right there.
I unzipped my jersey
Yeah.
and I
What is with these bugs?
pulled it. I flicked it.
Yeah.
A bug dropped.
Wow. Look at it.
I told him, film it.
sucker.
Film that sucker, my brother. Film it. That bit me.
Gee.
Look at it. That's the guy that bit me.
That's what it was on his jersey.
I don't know what that is, but I was like,
The front
he
opens
gave me a
up. Wait,
complex.
That's the stuff. That's why you wear. That's why you wear your shades. Those guys fly in your face. They fly on your fork. We got like
That's a huge one.
So what I did was I squeezed the bug, he dropped, and then I squeezed the area he had been biting, like, you know, pushing
Yeah.
whatever he may have put that
Yeah.
out before I zipped up my jersey, because it stung when he bit me. So he got in there when it started getting hot, he panicked.
Yeah. Because you had your shirt open.
So on Sunday he had me so paranoid, it was hot on Sunday, I didn't unzip at all. I wore my flyweight and just kept it zipped up. And that's the second bug bite this summer. I'm like, come on. Never had that many bug bites ever. It's like, come on, give me a break here. You know, and those guys, depending on what kind they are, like I said earlier, they can, you know, you can react to some of them. I don't know. I don't know what I'm allergic to or not allergic to. I don't want to find out. They get in there somewhere, I believe. Yeah, I don't think it's from the front. I think the shoulder. Because when you unzip, the jersey at the top flaps. Who knows how he got in there? But anyway, he was on my back, and I just felt it sting, and I grabbed it. He had me paranoid on Sunday. Everything I felt like a bug bite. I was riding by my senses, reaching back. Okay, is there a bug there? I was like, come on, man. So, no, I don't know. But there were no ill effects from his bite, and you know I'm thankful for that because you know I had teammates that get bitten and they would swell up. You have to take anti-inflammatory medicine, and sometimes some of the pros, like in the pro tour and stuff, they're not allowed to take medicine because of the doping controls. So then your eyes swell up and closes, and you got to ride with a swollen eye because you're not authorized to take anti-inflammatory drugs. It's a hassle. And needless to say, I think I mentioned I had one of those guys go in my mouth back in the day when I was racing. It's not a whole lot of fun because they hit the back of your throat and then strangle you. I had to cough him up. I'm like, come on. So I learned real quickly how to breathe with my mouth open. But they just, you know, they hit you, even now they hit you on the head, the shoulder, they're just flying around. You know, so that's just part of it. You're out there, they live out there. What can you do? So we got back to the business of riding. On this ride, I actually had a flat tire on my rear wheel. We went through a little bit of debris. I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was quick. We just replaced it and kept going. It actually ended up cutting my tire on the side. So that was the end of that tire. But you know, I had used it for a long time, so got my money's worth out of it. So the Park 2 TV2 came in handy. I put that in there, got me home. That's what's in there now, but I could feel it. But that tire is such a smooth casing made by Victoria that you feel any imperfections. But I wouldn't trade it. The ride is so good. So you have to be prepared. You have to carry boot, you have to carry a tube, patch kit, at least 2 tubes on a very long ride. Patch kit just in case, you never know. At least so you can get home without having to call for a ride. I'm gonna start using tubeless only called Noggle. Those of you who saw the last video about the different tire sizes I made. and I'm gonna carry a spare tubular like I used to do back in the day, but I'm gonna be carrying stands, no tubes, sealant, because I can repair a tubular tire. My challenge is the current tubular tires that came with the wheels I snatched up at eBay has a non-removable valve core. So what I did, I got some Maxxis extenders that will allow me to get sealant in there because they have removable cores. But we'll see. I have to test that out. I don't want to find out on the road that something doesn't work. So what I have noticed is that since we started going to WCC, we've kept our training fairly consistent. We are stronger. We're riding faster by ourselves when we're talking. We're riding between 18 to 20 miles an hour just chatting around. Usually, in mild conditions and so forth, but just overall from an effort standpoint, it's taking a lot more work for me to hit the higher zones, which is how you know you're improving. And just from the trend analysis in my Golden Cheetah software, I can tell. That's what you want your training to show. I don't know if you all can see how clean my chain is. I'm noticing that because I've been cognizant of it. I started using the T9, I think it's Bull Shield or whatever, it's made by Boeing. Supposedly they made it for aircraft lubrication or something. And I started using it because it leaves some kind of a waxy residue, but it also cleans. You all know that I use the Pro Gold as well. But the Bull Shield has kind of stepped up. Look at that chain. That is real. It's clean and it's quiet because the Bull Shield cleans, the T9 cleans, but it leaves wax behind to where it takes a lot of work before you need to reapply, meaning you can ride a couple of weeks before you put more on there. That's what I'm finding anyway. And so I'm liking it. I mean, I still use the Pro Gold, but I just, I'm always looking for something better, easier to use and so forth. If you're going to use a chain that has a wax residue, they recommend that you clean your chain first. I didn't do any special cleaning. I just took a rag, wiped my chain and put it on there. So it took about a week's worth of wiping the chain after a ride before it got that clean. I think that if you start with a clean chain, then it's quicker to get there. That's what I believe. I think that's why they tell you a lot of chain lubes that have wax residue, they tell you to clean your chain first. That's the reason they do, so you don't have to go through, but I didn't have time for that. I just put it on there, it worked its way, worked the old lube out of there. I wiped my chain after every ride anyway. And after about a week, look at that chain. You can see it on screen. It's clean. Clean and quiet. What more can you ask for? And then I floss the freewheel regularly, get all the debris out of there. I don't like riding a dirty bike. So I check for traffic and I let him know it's clear. And we get on our favorite road, Honea Egypt Road. And this is where in a little while you get passed by 3 vehicles. 2 of them do it right, 1 of them don't. And what I'm going to point out is, don't panic, don't let it ruin your ride. Just be thankful that they didn't come closer or didn't hit you, because you can't control what other people do. All you can do is place yourself properly. I think this is where it happened. That's 1. Look how those guys pass. Look at this one. That's what Paul says, seriously, because there is no reason to pass like that in our lane. Whoever it was on the yellow line and on the middle stripe there. All the other people used the opposite side of the road because it was clear. So all I did was I moved over more, take up more of the lane. So if anybody else was coming, they'd have to move over. I can't help people being inconsiderate or ignorant. All I can control is what I do and do the best I can to stay as safe as possible. But I don't let it ruin my ride. And this is why riders who are not comfortable or who haven't been doing cycling that long are hesitant to use the roads for just a situation like that. That was not necessary. I would never pass a car like that in my car. So how can you pass somebody riding a bicycle like that? See how the other driver passed? I would never pass a cyclist like that person did. The last thing I want to do is hit somebody and get sued. That's just common sense, you know. It's like, come on, give me a break. So anyway, we continue to ride. No fuss, no muss, no harm done. You just have to position yourself properly. You have a right to use the road. Imagine if I were riding a motorcycle, would they pass me like that? I mean, come on. Because I'm doing 20 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour. So what? That's just being inconsiderate. And I have to stress that most people pass like the vehicle you just see and this guy in the truck. 99.99% of the people pass us like that. So I'm not going to let that one idiot diminish my joy or my enjoyment. That's not the norm. Does not mean that it's not a problem, because it just takes one. You know what I mean. So, but don't make that the focus. I love this road anyway. It's like an old friend. I don't care what they do to it. I still love this road. There's something about it. I don't care how tired I am. I show up here. It just makes me want to ride. It just has character. And of course, since I like this road, my legs are tired. It's been a long day. 6 hours and 7 minutes into the ride, I start the ride like we just started. We're going into the wind here, folks. And I'm like, what wind? We're on Honea Egypt Road. There is no wind on this road. Settled into a groove here. I think I'm in a 53, 17 or 16, something like that. We're driving into the wind. Or 52, because that's what I have on this bike, a 3652. So 6 months ago, at this effort, my heart rate would have been 166, maybe 168. Right now, it's about 150 something. And I'm just estimating, but I feel I am going so much faster in my lower zones. Because I'm right at the top of endurance pacing, entering tempo. And we're doing 35 kilometers an hour, about 22, 23 miles an hour. Into the wind. We climbed 1,000 meters or so. Those of you who follow us on Strava, that's why I have the Strava account. Because a lot of people were asking, how far did you go and this and that. So I set up the Strava account early on. And some people ask early on when we set up the channel, do you have a Strava and so forth. And that's all I use it for. I load this ride on Strava every week. I don't have time to load the rest of the stuff because when I ride solo, I don't track too much. I just figure I got 2 hours to ride, go ride. I use all the gadgets for this ride. The rest of the time, I'm just riding my bike. I go out and I do a 2-hour ride. I know all the loops. I use my clock to say, you know, I got 2 hours to ride. I do it however, whatever I cover, I don't care. This is a little, it's scraped up. Paul doesn't like this one, so it's a little tricky. You see me, I'm dodging the reflectors. I got that from Mo. Mo came through one time, he was riding the edge, and he was leaning his body, using his hips, and he didn't touch the scraped up part. But the scraped up part is uncomfortable and it slows you down literally. Coming to the bump on Honea Egypt Road. When I come through here during the week, I love that little climb. Most of the time, I climb it standing up solo. I just put it in a good gear and just ride like the boys back in the day. You know, just stand up for a long period of time. That's my tube in my right pocket over there. That's the tube that had the puncture. I put it in there. I always take my tubes home. If it's small enough, I'll repair it. This is where this thing kicks in. Just about 5% or so. We kind of ease into it. This is a 4% right now. It should be 5.5 to 6%. It gets there. Yeah, 5 flickering. There we go. Yeah, so you work here and then right at this light pole, it lessens a bit, but you're still grinding. All the way up in the distance, you're climbing. I like this climb. There's no messing around on this road. This is not for sightseeing, you're working. Keep the pressure on your legs. Still climbing here. It may be just barely 1% or so, but you've got a grade that you're working with. So you had to have spread out your effort. You don't want to do too much back there because all the way in that curve, you're working. You go around the curve and then after maybe half a kilometer, it lessens. So you're working hard, most of it. And it's hot. This is where the first bug bit me. On the same road. Right here it lessens a little bit, and then in about maybe half a kilometer, there is a little bump right at the intersection. Right around here, it starts going downhill. You can see it. You see my speed increase right there? And all I do is I shift up. I'm trying to keep my rhythm as close to the climbing rhythm as possible. Once we go around that curve, it will ramp up just a tad, maybe you do like 1% or something. And you just gotta manage your rhythm. I want to thank our sponsors, Divine Mercy AG Church, Kish Fabrication, taker of the most interesting custom bikes I've seen in a while. Paulie Lunga, Joe Nanga, and Reed Sai for supporting the channel, and all you channel members and our patrons. Without you, we could not this content flowing. Consider supporting the channel or becoming a member of the channel on YouTube. So all I'm doing here is I'm writing to try and find the cleanest piece. You can see I'm avoiding the cracks and the reflector. I just look where I want the bike to track, and it follows my eyes. I use my hips to keep it there. You steer with your hips. You guide the bike with the handlebars. That's it. And of course, it's late in the afternoon. It's about 12:33. We're back in the city. A little after 6 hours, having fun. And it's hard for us to turn left when we get on the main drag here on 2978 Fishcreek going south from Honea, Egypt. You take the shoulder. You can turn right on red with care in Texas. And we start to check, and it's just busy. So I just tell Paul, let's turn at the next light. There is a red light up the street, an intersection, since we can't get across. Let's go up the road and turn. So this is what we did on Saturday. If you didn't get a chance to get out, you need to get up, walk around, get on your trainer, keep your body moving, because you want to keep those doctors fired. So no matter what, keep getting your K's in. Be safe out there.